my name's Beck and you're watching Beck's Crafty Nook. This is Sizzle, my dog. She's having a little itchy belly at the moment, so she's a little so she climbed up to somewhere nice and high and safe. So she'll be joining us. Today we're doing a pattern review. This is the Fish Memory Game by Crochet by BM. Is that right? Yes. And here's the Etsy listing. Now, this pattern is kind of expensive. And I'll explain what I mean by the quotation marks. So it is $10 and change Australian, which seems kind of expensive. A lot of people are selling their patterns for like $5. But I sell all my stuff, all my digital downloads and patterns on Etsy for $7, and that means I will get 5. So I don't think it's unreasonable if the pattern works, which yay, this one does. So this one came up in my Pinterest feed because I work in childcare, and so I'm always looking for activities for children to do, and I also like crochet. So this sort of came up, which I think is like a in between those two niches. So it's a memory game and you make little fishies, and the colored circles for the game, you have 2 circles of like a pair of each color within there, and as you flip the fish you need to remember where it is, and if you flip 2 over that are the same, then you win that pair and you keep going. So you can play this as a solitaire game, or you can play it with a group. I've been playing memory a lot with the children with like little coasters that they've given us. And it's really good for like a big group of them. I've had like 15 children. You just put more pairs out, or I'm hoping to do these as solitaire little activities for their rest time. So I'll show you what I've made. I made the bag. This is all acrylic yarn, and this is actually inside out, which we'll go into later. And then I did the suggested 6 pairs. So here's my little fishies, and I did them in the orange color. I used acrylic yarn in the 4 Seasons Marvel 8-ply, and this colorway is the neon orange, but they also have like a normal orange color. And then for the circles in the middle, I've just used scrap yarn and white acrylic, and I decided to embroider the eyes on, and they are not stuffed. I've got a little tester gallery which I'm going to put on in just a second. Let's have a look at the testers. In one of those photos with the green fish, I mean, I think there's only like 3 or 4 photos, but the one with the green fish, they have stuffed them. But this is actually a really quick make, and I think it could make a good market prep, like a market item. Let's go into it. Let me show you the tester gallery first. Okay, so now the pattern itself isn't like real pretty, like it's got this watermark over all the pages, which is sort of annoying because you paid for the pattern, but also I do understand because the pattern's actually really simple. So I could see people just screenshotting it and putting it on the internet, so maybe that's why they've done that, but it's still readable and everything. There are instructions for I made a couple little samples over here. So there's instructions for the top part of the fish, and then instructions for the bottom part of the fish, but both of them are made exactly the same way. The difference is you put a colored circle on this one, and this one you just make it all in the same color. So a great thing about the pattern is it's very easy to memorize. Now I ended up changing the pattern when I made the whites because I felt like in terms of memorizing it, because it goes from short stitches to long, it wasn't written like evenly. So all I did to change the pattern was take the last stitch and put it at the front, and then everything went evenly, like it was exactly even to go to the top. So this is how, this fish is how she's written it, which is perfectly fine, and it does look even. And this fish is where I move one stitch, and they're pretty much the same. I think maybe the nose looks slightly pointy because these stitches are smack bang in the middle. Also, if you move that one stitch from the end to the front, you don't turn when you do these stitches here, and then you turn just on that last row. So up to you. The pattern is perfectly fine as is. I think I changed it in terms of being able to memorize it. So that's all good, and it is a great scrap buster. So while I was making my granny squares, I'm in the process of making a blanket that's all every color of acrylic yarn granny square. So each time I made a granny square, I went ahead and made a pair of circles. And when I made the original ones in here, I went to my scrap box and I actually got rid of a heap of scrap yarn. So that was really good too. And I've always got white, but you can use any two colors that you want to. Another great thing is you don't really have to sew in any ends because it's sandwiched. Like, I just cut these short. I tie these two together, which is the start and finish of this white round. I do secure the magic ring, otherwise it will come open. I think I ended up just tying a knot here and then tying those two together and then cutting all of those short and stuffing that in. Same here, just tie, no, I think I did tie that off. Yes, I tied both so that they don't come undone. Tie them together, cut it short, and then you just sandwich it together. You don't actually have to weave in any ends. So I think this is a really good beginner pattern. And before you do that, I just embroidered on the eye. Now, in the pattern, it does tell you to put a safety eye in, but I thought, oh, we'll do a little experiment. So here's my 6mm safety eye. I thought if I put this in and I don't stuff it, it might come out the other end. And also because I want to use it for daycare, safety eyes are a choking hazard. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so I've got it there. I didn't put it back on. But yeah. So maybe you could use your safety eyes if you put the back on and you do that thing where you heat it up and you squash it flat. So I think that would work if you do want to use the safety eyes. But because I want to take them to childcare and I want children to use them, I embroidered my eyes on. So I did all that first. So all the ends are inside. Same, I just did a couple of stitches there, tied the ends together, shoved all the ends on the inside, and then you just whip stitch around in your white yarn. So you can leave a longer tail on your white yarn. I can't remember if I did. I think I may have cut off new pieces of white yarn. But yeah, if you leave a really long tail here, you'll be able to stitch all the way around. So they are super simple. So I just timed myself making these little new ones. So one piece takes 5, yeah, it was like 4.5 minutes. So let's say 5 minutes each. And then this one, because I had already done the center, oh, there it is, it took 3.5 minutes. So like if you just keep all your centers, make them as you're making other stuff. If you make things with acrylic yarn like I do, then you can keep all your centers. And I made the 6 pairs. So we should figure out how much that is. But let's finish looking at the pattern. The pages are numbered. We've got some notes which says if you use the same hook and yarn, you're going to get a 3-inch fish and an 8-inch bag. And I think that's about right. That's about 8 inches. This is maybe 3.5. So for the bottom part, you make as many as you want, and you need 2 of each color, 2 of each of the center color to make the matches. And then it goes on to tell you the pattern. The it's only 4 rounds, and there's some really nice clear pictures. We've got a nice clear picture of finished fishies here. Very cute. She's used the white. That's where I got that idea. Did she say what? Doesn't actually say what sized hook. It says you don't need stuffing. You can make the colour of the fish the same on the bottom or the top, or use different colours. She doesn't actually say what size hook. I used a 4 with my 8mm. I used a 4mm hook with my 8-ply yarn. Okay, then we go on to, so it starts with the bottom fish, and then we get the instructions for the top fish. Then we get instructions for the bag. Oh no, instructions how to sew it together. It doesn't give you details like I have about just like sandwich your ends in there. You don't have to weave things in. Then you have the instructions for the little fish that go on top of the bag, the little appliques. I didn't bother making them, but I don't doubt that it would work because everything in this pattern is totally fine and it works. And you can make as many fish as you want to decorate the bag. Then we have the instructions for the bag, which is the last 2 pages. So the bag is actually supposed to look like this, and in my bag I didn't do this part. I just made a chain. Like I didn't do these extra little bits here. I think in this I did the same amount of rows, so I think in this row I did a chain across, and then I went around and did a single crochet on top to make that chain a little bit thicker. And this bag is actually turned inside out because she tells you to make 2 panels and then to single crochet them together, leaving the gap. Whoop, just taking all my fish out. Leaving the gap for the handles. And so because when you single crochet, it leaves this little ridge, which looks fine as well. Like you could have it this way. It's totally fine. But when I turn it inside out, I get that little bit of stability there, and it kind of sits out of it. So next time I would probably just turn them right sides together and single crochet around. And then as you can see in this last round, so in this round I did a chain, and then I went back around the whole thing in single crochet to thicken this up. And then I single crochet together just from here to there, and I've turned it inside out. This is a vintage yarn and it's the same, it's a marble yarn, but it's actually quite it's a stiff and scratchy one, so it holds the bag nice and stiff. But yeah, I didn't want to decorate it, so I didn't. And it fits my 6 pair really nicely. So let's have a look at all the fishies that I made. So here is my 6 pair that I made. I used the fluoro pink, which is, I think they have a pink, a yellow, and an orange. This is the fluoro orange. This is a mandala ombre. I did a couple of scraps of variegated yarns that I had. I had a scrap of yellow and I had a scrap of grey. And then of course to play the game, you would flip them all this way and shuffle them together and lay them all back out. So you need to put them into a grid, and this is a really great game for the kids to learn a joint attention, because everybody needs to watch every turn so that you can remember where the pairs are. And so you just turn over 2, and if they don't match, then you put them back. And then it's the next person's turn, or you can play it yourself. And we still don't have a match. Ooh, did we see that one before? Was it here? Hey! And then when you get a match, that is your fishy. And then with the kids, I get them to have another turn. Or if you're just by yourself. Ooh, was that one there? Nope. If you're just by yourself, you can just keep going. But when we play it with the kids, you get to have another turn if you get a match. Oh dear. No, there's the yellow one. Haha, there it is. Yeah, so I think they work really well. They're super cute, a great little size. Nice for like little kids' hands as well. The kids could also play with them, like if you had, you know, some water fabric or blue felt, and you could play with them like, you know, as fish. So I think they're super cute. I have one more comment to make about the pattern, which I forgot to do before. Okay, so the last thing I need to make a comment on is how the pattern's written, and we'll talk about this quite a lot, but I think in this pattern it's actually a good thing because it would be good for beginners. So I've got this is going to be my whiteboard. I do have a whiteboard. I should bring it out. So some patterns you would normally write like 6 single crochet, and that would mean you would do 6 singles into their next available spaces. So it's not 6 single crochet into one space. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the next available spaces. Now some people are writing single crochet, and then, you know, then you might have another instruction there. Single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people would write that instruction like that, and you can see that it's a single crochet into each stitch. But the problem there is you need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But visually, for a beginner, that's like, yeah, 1 single crochet into every stitch. And as I said, with this one, you might think, oh, is it 6 singles into one stitch and then 1 single crochet there? So it is written like this, but it's not a big deal because it's not like you have to do 6 of the same thing. So into each stitch, most of the time you might do 2 of the same thing, and then 2 of the same stitch here, and then 2 of the same stitch there. Now instead of writing increase, so we should write single crochet increase, single crochet, single crochet. That means we're going to put 2 single crochet into this stitch. So increase always means 2 in one stitch. They haven't written it like that. They do write just 2 single crochet. Yeah, they write 2 single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, whereas that should be increase. So if it's a lot of the time, if the whole pattern is in single crochet, you just write increase, and then when it's a double or a half double, then they'll put that stitch in front of it. So normally just increase is a single crochet increase. I think I've got that right, but just so you know, they write each stitch individually and they haven't written increase. They'll say 2 of what stitch they want into the same, you know, hole. So I do think that's a good instruction for a beginner before they learn the terminology of increases and decreases, which is, you know, 2 stitches together. So yeah, there's no decreases. And the stitches used are single crochet, half double, double, treble, slip stitch, and chains. So it's all really good basic stitches too for beginners. And the very last thing I want to say about this shop and pattern designer is I've seen lots of other stuff that I'd like to try. So she has a lot of different memory games. There is a spider memory game that I would like to try, although I think I probably could figure out the pattern from having this pattern. So I'm not sure if I would get that, or I might be cheeky and try and figure that out because it's basically the same. But she has this cute little mermaid pattern in acrylic yarn. So I think I would really like to get that one and try that one. So I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope it is helpful for you to make an informed decision of whether you would like to get that pattern or not. I really enjoyed it, and as I said, I'm going to be using it for children to play games with. I think it could look really cute on a coffee table for adults as well. So I'll see you next time in the next review. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see. And check out these other videos.